for the second quiz for Math 112. Two problems. First one dealing with exponential functions. Second one dealing with logarithmic functions, or I guess equations in this case. Okay, so for the exponential one, what you need to know is that exponential functions will look like this. It's the general form of an exponential function for our purposes. It's supposed to be an x up here. So what you got to do is figure out what is a and b. So those are the unknowns. However, we do know that when we put -2 in for the x-coordinate, 6 comes out as the y-coordinate. So 6 must be equal to a times b to the -2 power from this information. And from this piece of information here, I know that 3/4 must be equal to a times b to the first power. And so what I can do is I can take those two equations and I can divide them. So maybe 3/4 divided by 6 must be equal to ab to the first power divided by ab to the -2 power. If this is the same as this, and this is the same as this, and this divided by this is the same as this divided by this, gives me this equation right here. The nice thing about this equation is the a's just cancel each other out. And so I have b, and the exponent on b is 1 minus -2. 1 minus -2 is the same as 1 plus 2, which is 3. And then 3/4 divided by 6, you can think about that as 3/4 times 1/6, which is 3/24, which is 1/8. And rather than show all that work, I'll just write that this is just 1/8. So then I can figure out b by taking the cubed root of both sides of the equation. B would be the cubed root of 1/8, which turns out is just 1/2. And once you know b, you can use that to figure out a. You can take either of these two equations. It really doesn't matter which one you use. I'm going to choose this one. Then say that 3/4 is equal to a, which I don't know, times b, which is 1/2, raised up to the first power. 1/2 to the first power is just 1/2. If you multiply both sides of the equation by 2, you get that 3/2 equals a. So my answer would be f of x equals, instead of a, I'm going to write a 3/2. Instead of b, I'm going to write 1/2 and raise that up to the x power. And there's my answer. All right, next problem, dealing with logarithmic equations. I think the easiest way at this point to deal with these logarithmic equations is to switch them all from logarithmic form into exponential form. And so that's what I'll do. To put these in exponential function, this equation right here is the same as saying 2 to the x power is equal to 16. So to solve this equation, well, I don't know if you're really solving it, because I guess to solve for x, you'd put it in the logarithmic form. You'd want it to look like this. So really what we're going to do at this stage is just kind of stare at it. To what power must I raise 2 to make it a 16? Well, let's see, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 16. 2 to the 4th power is 16. So I guess I got x equals 4. Similarly here, this is saying 3 to the x power is equal to 1/9. So x must be equal to -2. The negative puts it down in the bottom, takes the reciprocal of, and 3 squared is 9. What about log base 4 of 2 equals x? Well, if I switch that into exponential notation, it's 4 to the x power is equal to 2. To what power must I raise 4 to make it a 2? Well, it turns out the answer is 1/2, and that's because the square root of 4, which is the same as raising it to the 1/2 power, gives you the 2. Log base 5 of x equals 25. So what that is saying is probably not what I meant to ask. Okay, so on this one I changed it a little bit. Log base 5 of x equals 2. So what that is telling you is that x is equal to 5 to the 2nd power. So I guess x would be equal to 25. Log base 6 of x equals -1/3. That is telling you that x is equal to 6 raised up to the -1/3 power, which is equal to 1 over 6 to the 1/3 power. which is equal to 1 over the cubed root of 6, which if you felt like rationalizing the denominator, you could say that's the cubed root of 36 divided by 6. But frankly, any of these answers are okay with me. So I'll put the box around all of them. Maybe for this one, I'll just put the box around the 25. And then finally down here, log base 7 of x equals 0. That is telling you that x is equal to 7 to the 0 power. And 7 to the 0 power is just 1. So x equals 1 would be my answer. So I guess that's it. That's all I got on logs, and so that ends this quiz.